Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
Look, let me tell you, girl, you my little boo thing. So I don't give a hoot what your dude say, girl, I know you a little too thing. I'll be shooting that shot like 2K, girl, I know. Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Eric Hellberg, and of course, we're like Einstein, man, living a month and a day. We have no special talents. What our new talent is going to be is that we're passionately curious about picking out all peculiarities of this dang government of ours. You're not going to believe this. Of course, we have a war between Hamas and Israel. We know that Joe Biden has put the good old brakes on Israel, but they're still going. They're not listening to Joe for some reason. He's lost all credibility. But did you know in the world's relief efforts, President Biden, of course it would have had to go through the power of the purse, our Congress, built a pier. Remember, I did an episode and said if the Gaza Strip was truly worried about genocide, arguably the best air force in the world in Israel, why would all those people be chillaxing on the beach there in Gaza? And I talked about it, gave you the exact name of the beach, how many people were there, all that good stuff. So we know by all means there is no account there. But President Biden recently just built a pier off the shore of Palestine. Did you know that, guys? And of course, it was done under the auspices of helping them with humanitarian and relief supplies so they could come right up on the beach and bring the good people of Gaza anything they need. Did you know that pier, which has now fallen apart, purportedly from one of our national security advisors, under rough seas, and done by American contractors? I tell you what, whether we support the war, we don't support the war, if there's war, we're helping people. If we really wanted to help them, couldn't we allow their people to do this? Or do we need our people? We go ahead and fund it. Then we pay our people over there, that comes back to us. Or maybe, probably in Gaza, they simply just don't have the engineering know-how, the technical know-how to build a $320 million pier. You heard me right. $320 million. Now, we know that's chump change when you're playing with our money, the people's money. And these idiots with the power of the purse just built a pier a few weeks ago. It's now become dismantled. And did you know that according to this national security advisor, it is now all the components have been wrangled back together. They are going to tow it right around the corner to Israel. We're delivering aid and building a pier as such in Palestine, but now it is falling apart, I guess shoddy American workmanship. So now they're going to tow it to Israel, who is fighting the war against them, to now rebuild the pier. And our government says it will take approximately a week and the pier will be able to be put back in place for the Palestinians' benefit. Which side, what side, whose side? All I'm saying is dude built a $320 million pier with your tax dollars to feed people that hate us. It was destroyed by rough seas. And we're $35 trillion in debt as a country. How much more hypocrisy can we stand? Yeah, hypocrisy. You know what's crazy, guys? Sometimes I will tape an episode a couple of days before, then release it later. Sometimes I will begin a show and just simply because a thought is on my mind and or something that I know I can expand upon, it's something that I want to explore. And I had done that yesterday after I had released Jimmy and David. I went ahead and started encapsulating another program. And the theme was going to be hypocrisy. And then what happened yesterday? We find out that now our beloved president is a convicted felon, a moniker they wanted to attach to him all along. Is that the epitome of hypocrisy? Let's go ahead and dovetail into that word. And let's go ahead and change the script a little bit. So bear with me. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. I'm holding on your rope, got me 10 feet off the ground. And I'm hearing what you say, but I just can't make a sound. And how does the song go further? It's too late to apologize. It's too late. And you know what? Joe Biden, it is way too late for you to apologize to the American people. You, Barry, Hillary, of course, Bill, what you have done to us, your apology will never be accepted. There is nothing that you can do to assuage the pain, torment, and destruction that you have inflicted upon our great nation. So let's go into hypocrisy. We know that this was a sham trial. Honestly, I wasn't even following it. I was like, it's just another thing. But I think Trump's team knew that this was going to be the outcome before appeal. They've done everything they can to tie him up. Not that he needs to campaign. But regardless of that, he would campaign tirelessly, daily, because he knows the people want to hear from him. He knows that we want hope, and he would willfully oblige. This doesn't change anything. I think it was a major miscalculation on the part of Joe Biden and the Democrats. And you want to talk about hypocrisy? Those same politicians that I just named, and I have done complete episodes on them, and I have talked about the Clintons here recently. I've talked about in some of my earlier episodes, Obama ad nauseum. Take that group, throw them in a bucket, and they have committed more crimes together and killed more people worldwide than if you took all the convicted felons at one time at the island full of Alcatraz when stocked to capacity. All those people together would not even be close. We have dutifully listed their crimes against humanity and their crimes against the American people, yet you have just convicted a man who has committed no crime for the moniker. What is it about this man that scares these people down to the depths of their soulless souls? So let's just simply recap, since we're talking about hypocrisy. Every one of these people, if you remember during the Trump and Hillary debates, Hillary would say, well, you took money from this. Or Trump would say, well, darling, I've taken money from you. I've taken money from... He didn't hide a thing. He simply knew how to play the game, and they all courted him. They all wanted his prestige. They all wanted his stature. They all wanted his money. They all wanted to be in pictures with him. He was just a businessman, a mogul, an icon, and they wanted his glitz. Up until when he felt like his mission had come to a completion insofar as he had achieved everything that he wanted, but he saw the ordinary man. In fact, the ordinary man that in order for him to get to where he was, he interacted with on a daily basis, and he saw the ordinary man failing. He He says, yes, it has taken an enormous amount of work, but I have been blessed. I have seen our country go down, and I think I am in a position to do something about it. I will run for office. Well, he became blacklisted at that point, public enemy number one. And when he started getting inertia, catching steam, getting fervor, the American people were applauding and getting behind him. What do Barry and Hillary do? They bug and surveil his offices in Trump Tower. This is before he ever even became president. They wanted to know what he knew, what he was planning. And then lo and behold, he beats Hillary. Obama had set about, just like he said, remember, these guys hold us in contempt. He set about to fundamentally change America. He said it, and he did it. They were going to continue with their degenerate plans. And isn't it funny? One of the arguments they used against Trump was that he will get us into World War III. He's unstable. Lo and behold, they had been planning World War III, and we are at the brink right now, right? Ukraine, Joe. And as he got into office, they then had to decapitate his chief staffers because they had the goods. They had to do everything short of impeachment to damage Trump along the way. And once they knew that he was in and had the support of the people, their plans had been laid bare. Barry had run amok for 8 years. They fully anticipated to further globalize with the globalist agenda to sell us out, but that everything would come to fruition. Everything would be known. Everything would be exposed. They never anticipated this, so they had to destroy President Trump while he was in. He still worked tirelessly, trying to decipher from friend and foe while he was in. The swamp was bigger than he ever thought. And they projected onto him and accused him of everything that they were doing. And then ultimately, toward the end, they're like, President Trump is going to get reelected again. There's nothing we can do to stop him. He was still surging in popularity. Everyone loved him. 72 million popular votes in the 2020 election. That's 10 million more than the height of Barry Obama at his power when he got elected for his second term. And he was everyone's darling. Trump got 10 million more legitimate votes. And I wouldn't even be surprised. We were looking at the fact of all the fraudulent votes that came in for Biden. I wonder how many of Trump's were even suppressed. I haven't even thought about that or looked into that factor. But when they knew that everything looked ominous, it is my belief that that is when they took that cooked up COVID virus at the end of 19 and they unleashed it on the world for two reasons. Now, had Hillary had won, there would have been no need for COVID. Yep, that thing had laid latent in the Wuhan lab since Barry had funded the National Institutes of Health. Black funded. Now, I don't mean Barry. I mean off the books funded with Fauci. They could no longer use legitimate sites here in the U.S. I told you about the lingering presence down in Galveston, Texas, but they went offshore for that gain of function type of research. The Wuhan lab was happy to oblige. But they were waiting. They were waiting. When would be the optimum time for this to come out? And I don't think it was fortuitous that it came out at the end of 19, somewhere in or around October or November, during that time frame. Possibly could have been accidental, but I don't think so. They needed a foolproof plan. That was one aspect of it. The whole time Trump was in, they had to figure out how could we beat him. They knew they couldn't do it legitimately, so they knew they had to steal that election. And we saw the end result. But despite that working, they still had, to release that virus, and I'll tell you why. They needed total compliance out of the people, the lack of ability to question anything else. They needed complete autonomy in which to operate behind the scenes. One, because they knew that their boy, Joe, was totally inept, a puppet of Barry from the previous two administrations. All of Barry's governmental staff and agency staffed with his personnel, but they needed a cover. They knew that Joe Biden could not inspire confidence. They knew that he had no way to lead. They knew he was simply a debased figurehead whereby they could reset the table from the previous 4 years and start moving forward with the agenda they had already set in place. And that is what they did during COVID. And that is why they are so damned opposed to Trump getting back in. They had it all laid out to destroy this country. We were already there. Trump was our only saving grace. And him coming back in now, knowing what he knows, after what he has been exposed to and what he knew back then, they know is ultimately death to them. And they can't have it. And that is why, even despite stealing that election, they have tried to prosecute him, which we have seen them do, persecute him, not only him, his wife, his children. They've attempted to bankrupt him because they cannot have him get back in. And this is going to be incumbent upon us, people. It is incumbent upon us as men to stand up. And guess what? We don't even need you to apologize. And yes, it is. It's too late. Apology unaccepted. This is something else. I'm not going to use the words that it really is because you're already trying to censor everything about anyone that gains any traction that is deleterious to your message. And if you can do that to President Trump, we know that you can do it to us. But in each of our own ways, we have to sound the alarm. And we have to take a little bit of action. President Trump does have to get in November. I think he will. But keep in mind, you have a dug-in enemy. They don't plan on going anywhere. They do not care about you. Let's see what we can do to push through. So until next time on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock.
Until next time, like and subscribe to the Comfortable in Chaos